This is TLV1.
The Tel Aviv Review with Gilad Halpern.
You're listening to the Tel Aviv Review here on TLV1. I'm Gilad Halpern. Welcome back. I'm now joined here by Professor Yosef Toby. He's Professor Emeritus of Medieval Hebrew Poetry at the University of Haifa and co-author of the new book Judeo-Arabic Literature in Tunisia, 1850 to 1950, that has recently been published in English by Wayne State University Press. Hello, Professor Toby, and welcome to the Tel Aviv Review.
Hello, thank you.
So let's start by focusing on Judeo-Arabic. How prevalent was this language in North Africa at the time, and perhaps the entire Middle East? And on literature, more specifically, and perhaps writing in general, was it distinctly separate from the general Arabic literature? Were the Jewish authors who wrote in Judeo-Arabic only and only in Arabic? I'm trying to make sense of the contours of Judeo-Arabic. What was its status in the period that you've studied?
Okay, let's begin with this point. Arabic was the language of Jews, at least since the 6th century. In Arabia itself. The Jews didn't use Arabic letters, Arabic characters to write their Arabic. That's why we call this literature Judeo-Arabic, or this language Judeo-Arabic. So by this, it means that the works written in Judeo-Arabic were directed only to Jews, not to Arabs.
But the language itself, other than the alphabet, was Arabic?
Yes, Arabic, but with the, I would say, Hebrew component. Mm-hmm. There are many words, but also in every country where Jews lived within Arab population, their dialect was somehow different from the language spoken by the Arabs. Mm-hmm. So
would you say that the relationship between Judeo-Arabic and Arabic was perhaps similar, I don't know, to Yiddish and German, or were they more closer to each other?
I would say that from the point of view of language, we can compare this, Yiddish and German and Judeo-Arabic and Arabic. But if we are thinking about the literature written in Judeo-Arabic compared to literature written in Yiddish, we have to know that in Middle Ages, the most important works written by Jewish scholars were in Judeo-Arabic, which we cannot find in Europe in regard to Yiddish.
And where was Hebrew in all this?
Sorry?
Hebrew. What was the role of Hebrew?
The role of Hebrew was only for, let us say, mainly for synagogue, for reading the Torah, reading the
for religious purposes.
Religious purpose, but also the Torah or all the Bible was translated into Arabic, and even many parts of the prayer book.
Mm-hmm. So tell us a bit about the works of literature that you focus in your book, and what were the underlying themes, and how, let's talk about them with the historic context that they deserve, because it was a specific period of time when modernity was arriving in North Africa.
That's the point. The period we talked about, as you know, is 1850 to 1950. What's the meaning of this period? This is the time when the ties or the relationships between the Jews of Tunisia and Europe began to be more and more strengthened. And actually, all this literature is a reaction, somehow negative, maybe also positive, to this relationship with Europe and the culture of the French, the Italian, and so on. There were many changes within the Jewish society in Tunisia. I have to say, when we speak about the Tunisian Jewry in this regard, we have to think about the Jews in northern Tunisia. Mm-hmm. Which means in the capital Tunis and some other
in the more
towns,
urban areas.
That's it, but not in the south,
mm-hmm.
because in the south there was Jerba and Gabes and other cities or towns where the influence or the impact of the ties with Europe were not so important. We cannot see the influence.
So were the themes in those works of literature, were they predominantly reactionary in relation to European culture? Were they more nationalist than others, or equally nationalist?
We can see something in a contradiction, which means that on one side there was the estimation of Europe and the European culture was very high among the Jews. The education, schools, newspapers, and theaters, all this.
Are we talking mainly about French culture? Because after all, they ruled the country.
French and Italian. Mm-hmm. French and Italian. Actually, in the beginning, mm-hmm. the influence of Italian culture was much more important than the French.
Interesting.
And because Italy is very close
yes.
to Tunisia. And but after the heads of the community saw that with this influence, with this impact, there is also some negative results, like not observing the Jewish mitzvot, the Jewish commandments, and so on. So it started I would say, a trend of reaction, mm-hmm. reactionary to the culture, the openness, the permissiveness mm-hmm. of the European. So there was a clash, between the negative and the positive.
And were the Jews who were engaged in that, were they different from non-Jewish Tunisians? Because I would imagine that Muslim Tunisians having the same ambivalent attitude towards European culture.
Let me tell you that one demographic component in the Jewish population of Tunis were immigrants from Italy. Their culture was actually Italian. They spoke Italian, and they opened the new theaters. And
why did they leave Italy for Tunisia?
Why they come to Tunisia? Mm-hmm. Because of economic reasons. So there was also some clash between the old community, which were called the Tuanisa, which means they were native of mm-hmm. Tunis, and between the immigrants from Italia, which were called Grana, or they come from the city of Livorno mm-hmm. in northwest Italy.
Yes. Mm-hmm. And so going back to the general attitude in Tunisia vis-a-vis the European culture, so were the Jews really distinct in this ambivalent, or was it more pronounced among them?
Yes. The Jews accepted the acculturation to European culture was much more strong in the Jewish community than in the Muslim mm-hmm. community. And generally speaking, we have to say that the impact was positive, because by the influence of the French and the Italian, they opened modern schools mm-hmm. in which the girls also, not only boys, they got European modern education, languages, and so on.
Mm-hmm. Was this relationship, the newly formed relationship with Europe, also created some kind of interaction with Jewish communities in Europe, not just those who came from Europe to Tunisia? But I'm trying to think that whether that not just, accepting or embracing modernity thanks to the European Jews, but also did it change something in the way they perceived their religion, in the way they perceived their tradition? Was it more of a hybrid than it was before?
No. This didn't happen in Tunisia. It happened in Algeria, where many Jews from France came to live, like Christian French who came to live in Algeria, but not in Tunisia. In Tunisia, they kept their own tradition. The interchange maybe happened much later in the 50s of the 20th century, when Jews from northern Tunisia immigrated to Paris, to Marseille, and to other cities in France.
So tell us a bit about some of the writers that you explore in your book. What was, I'd say, the generic profile of a Judeo-Arabic writer in the mid-19th to mid-20th century Tunisia?
We can talk about a special school of Judeo-Arabic literature in Tunisia, which we cannot find in other places. There are many genres in this literature, which are called Ghnayat, Malzumat, Qinot, and stories, and many other. So this means that the authors were very, very dedicated to this literature. They believe that by writing this literature, they educate the community, especially the younger generation. But with this, when they criticize, if they saw some negative phenomenon, they criticize it without any problem.
Would you like to read out maybe a representative
I would like to talk
of...
about something special. There was a diva, a Jewish diva, Habiba Msika. She was, she was a diva. She was an actress. She was a singer, and there were so many people. Actually, everybody who lived in Tunisia in her time knew about her, but she finished her life in a very, very tragic event. An old lover of her. She was about 30 years old, and an old lover of her, which he was, I think, about 70 years old. He just burned her house with her, and by this she died. And Jews and Arabs sang about this tragic event, and one of them is written, as it was current in Arabic literature and also in Hebrew literature in Middle Ages. It is a lament, an elegy, which she is writing about herself.
Right.
Okay? So I'm reading, of course, the English, translation. In Tunis, something terrible has happened. Hear, O people, a true account concerning Mimuni, who killed Habiba. Mimuni was the old man lover. He burned her with alcohol. Oh, Thursday, during the morning hour, I had returned, she is speaking, I had returned to my house without incident. My body was tired and lithe. I said, I'll take a quick nap. I called my handmaid and gave orders to her. I said to her, whosoever there might be of the people, if they shall ask concerning me, tell them my mistress is asleep. And so on and so forth. And let me read the conclusion of this qina, of this poem. They buried me, and I attained my rightful place. My afflictions had come to their full measure. In the best of paradise was I drawn, where no account is given, neither punishment. They have restrained themselves on account of my parting, both loved ones and friends. This was the end of my life and my time on earth. Come visit me in my place. I would like to note that a Muslim Tunisian movie maker, Salma Bakkar, she made a movie about her, but she figured her as a Tunisian nationalist, nothing with Judaism.
Right.
So that's what I mean when I say that she was diva, not only for Jews, but also for Tunisian.
But she could have been Tunisian nationalist, right? As well as a Jew.
No, I don't think so. No, she changed the figure because really this Habiba Msika, she was dedicated to the Jewish community. She used to collect money that she got in their performances and to give the money for poor Jewish kids that they didn't have enough money to celebrate their bar mitzvah. So by this we see that her Judaism Jewishness was really a genuine one.
Right. And I would like to take you to the end, to 1950. The period that you explore in your book is the golden age of Tunisian Jewry, or maybe one of the golden ages. And after 1950, of course, we see the all but destruction of the Jewish community there. So tell us what happened after 1950 to these people and to these texts.
Okay. As we know in history, nothing happened out of the blue. This was a process started with the French control of the country in 1881. Jews in northern Tunisia slowly started to forget their Jewishness, okay? They forgot the Hebrew.
You mean they assimilated?
Assimilated with the French culture, not in terms of marriages or something like that, okay? So they forgot also the Judeo-Arabic. They couldn't read the Hebrew characters which was used for the Judeo-Arabic. So there was no use in Judeo-Arabic literature. That's why they moved more and more to French, and since the 20s of the 20th century, we have French literature written by Jews in northern Tunisia, and also newspaper and novels and so on. That's why the Judeo-Arabic was neglected and forgotten, and the French took control of the...
Is there anyone still speaking Judeo-Arabic anywhere in the world today?
Now?
Yeah.
I'm used to say that my wife, Chivia, which is my
co-author,
partner in this book, she is the only academic. She's doctor. She make her doctoral thesis in the Hebrew University. She is the only academic which know Judeo-Arabic as a mother tongue. Okay, which means there are many people who still speak. I doubt it now. If many people who speak the Judeo-Arabic, because the younger generation in Israel they cannot speak it, but there are some. Okay. But none of them is a scholar, none of them is a researcher. Right. So I don't see any future for this language, for this culture, for this literature, only, for research, for...
And there is the value of your book, not just the research value of it, but also preserving this tradition that's quickly
right.
disappearing.
My academic field was not the culture of Tunisia, because of my wife, and I saw the value of this culture. I decided to do it with my wife, to bring to the public this literature.
And that is, by all means, a praiseworthy endeavor. Professor Yosef Toby, Professor Emeritus of Medieval Hebrew Poetry at the University of Haifa and co-author of Judeo-Arabic Literature in Tunisia, 1850 to 1950. Thank you very much for coming in today.
Thank you.